This video is pulled together from a live stream that I did recently. I talk about some of the most powerful prompts and use cases that I've used for ChatGPT. I gathered this information from all over the internet. I scoured the internet, I watched a bunch of videos, and then I locked myself down here in the basement for a few weeks to figure out how to use some of these things. And again, how to really use ChatGPT for actionable stuff. So that's what this is. I show you how to generate your own prompts, probably the most powerful kind of prompt you can do, and then how to train chatbots specifically to help you with certain things. And I've done this over and over again. So I go back to a YouTube title generator. I go back to a personal finance and financial independence content expert to ask about specific questions related to that area, or niche sites. So you can do this over and over again. And once you train that chatbot, you can keep going back to it and it will keep getting better as you feed it more information, let it know what you like, what you don't like. It's like a relationship. So check out the video. Again, we go through this. It was a live stream, but we have edited it down to just the core material. So treat this as a tutorial, probably bookmark it. You may want to come back to it again and again. And if you want to get access to some of the prompts, you can check the link in the description. I'm going to show you what I think is the most powerful prompt that you can use because you can create other prompts. It's a prompt generator. And let me show you right now. We're in ChatGPT. I have the Plus version. I signed up for the $20 per month plan as soon as I could. Someone told me recently that the price went up to $50 a month. I think that's still quite a bargain for what it can do. I found this specific prompt to get us started on a website. I don't have the link handy, but essentially it is an open sourced list and repository of prompts. A lot of them are repetitive. And what I think a lot of people did is they started with a prompt like this, and then they just started creating like random other prompts. So a lot of them are very redundant and a lot of them don't really add like additional value. Once you have a prompt generator, then of course you can generate any prompt that you need. I'll read this out. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here and I'm going to try to remember to zoom back out. Again, if you want this exact thing, you just have to follow the link in the description, nichesiteproject.com/AI resources. It says this: I want you to act as a prompt generator. First, I'm going to give you a title like this, in quotes: act as a writing coach and AI writing tutor, end quote. Then, next line here, it says, then you give me a prompt like this: I want you to act as an AI writing tutor. I'll provide you with a student who needs help improving their writing, and your task is to use artificial intelligence tools such as natural language processing to give the student feedback on how they can improve their composition. You should also use your rhetorical knowledge and experience with effective writing techniques in order to suggest ways that the student can better express their thoughts and ideas in written form, end quote. The prompt should be self-explanatory and appropriate to the title, and give me the prompt only. So let me hop back here. So what is that telling us to do? So it's providing an example. You're telling ChatGPT, hey, you're going to get a title, and here's a description for such a title. You could actually do this several times. So as you find prompts that are really good, you could improve upon it. I actually did this as I went along, and I'll show you some of the stuff that I created as a prompt generator when I was trying to figure out what I needed help with, how to use ChatGPT as a virtual assistant that is an expert in a specific area. ChatGPT knows a lot of stuff. You just have to tell it what you need it to be specialized about and what you need help with. As I mentioned, you're giving it a title, you're telling it what a good prompt is, and then that is the example. If you keep giving it improving and better examples, then you probably will get more thorough and more interesting and more powerful prompts. Again, this is probably the most powerful prompt. If you can figure out how to do this, which is very straightforward, right? If you could figure out how to do this and then create chatbots that you can train to do a specific thing, you could go back to them again and again. I'm going to show you some specific ones that I actually do use on now a day-to-day basis. So the first prompt is how you train it. So as an example, I said using AI to enhance public speaking skills. And I gave it another example here with a prompt just to train it, right? Or actually, this is a reply back to me. So they were like, well, I'm going to give you an example. We didn't ask for it, but ChatGPT, just so damn helpful, they gave us an example. One thing I do need help on is a YouTube title writer. So that is the title. I just put in the title. I didn't put anything else. And then we see the prompt the ChatGPT provided for us. I want you to act as an AI YouTube title writer. Your task is to generate compelling and engaging titles for YouTube videos using artificial intelligence tools such as natural language generation and sentiment analysis. You should consider the content of the video, the target audience, the overall tone, and the messaging of the channel when crafting the titles. Additionally, you should draw on your knowledge of effective marketing and advertising strategies to help the channel attract more views and subscribers through eye-catching and descriptive titles. So I thought, that's pretty good. So I said, that's pretty good. Can you integrate best practices for title length too? So another key aspect. It provided me with a prompt, a very good prompt. It only took a second, but I know that I wanted to make sure that it was a short, punchy title that wasn't more than 50 characters. So I asked it to rewrite. So we have here, sure, here's an updated version of the prompt that includes best practices for the title length. So we essentially doubled it too, right? So this part is much longer than what the original was here. So it was only like one solid paragraph. Now we have two. So that's great. That's a really good one as well. You can even do more, right? Maybe you have specific things that you want to integrate. Maybe you've been YouTubing for a while and you have a list of titles that are very good and they performed really well for your specific channel. You could feed those in and say, here are 10 titles that performed exceptionally well. Keep this in mind, keep the style in mind, keep the tone in mind whenever you're creating a title for me. So you could feed it in, right? So if you have been YouTubing for a while, you can do that specifically for your channel. If you haven't been, guess what? There's a shitload of videos out there already. You could just go to someone's channel, maybe someone in your niche that has been doing very well. You can go to all their videos. You could sort it by popularity, and then you can get their top 20 video titles and then feed it into the ChatGPT prompt and just let the chatbot know that these were really good. So that was a specific example. And I actually did feed it in to a prompt. And I'm going to zoom out. I have my prompts over here and I use them again and again. YouTube titles is what I called this one, like you can imagine. So I haven't been strictly using these as just YouTube titles, for example. I may say, hey, I need help with the description. Here's the outline, something like that. Here's some stuff that I did. I have a marketing channel. I need help on titles. Actually, I didn't train it with this specific one, but I should have, right? I should have done that. I may have put it in around here. Whenever I need help with a YouTube title, this is the one that I go over to. Here's a cool one. So act as a fallacy finder to find holes and gaps in arguments. So I just give it the title and then it gives me this pretty solid prompt. It's 2 paragraphs, very straightforward, so it's pretty easy to work with. You could be very specific too. I said, act as a blogger in the food world specializing in meats. Should be an expert writer in the style and tone of Alton Brown, which is the host of Good Eats, one of my favorite shows ever. This is very specific, so I just wanted to point that out because even if you're an expert in the area, like you can tell ChatGPT to be an expert in that same area. Like I said, that is pretty much the most powerful thing that you could do because you could create other prompts to help you do things. I trained ChatGPT, a specific chatbot, to help me for content on this channel, on my podcast, writing emails and that sort of thing. I wasn't planning on training it so specifically, but it just worked out that way. Initially, I said, hey, do you know what a niche site is? Do you know what the pros and cons are? And I've used some of this copy in my emails. So I even put this verbatim in, and I mentioned it in the email. I said, hey, I asked ChatGPT about the pros and the cons of niche sites, and it gave me pretty good answers. Fairly concise. You don't have to read it all here. I asked about how much it can earn and just like general information. So as we scroll down, I asked ChatGPT right here, I said, can you write a prompt for me to use in the future to get responses like this? It didn't quite understand what I was getting at here. So it just said, hey, what are the pros and cons of creating a niche site and some things that are not immediately obvious. I came back after going to the ChatGPT prompt generator and I said something about an AI content strategist for niche and authority sites with a podcast, YouTube channel, and blog. So I wanted to cover everything that's in my platform. I could even throw in like course creator or whatever. And you'll notice that this is a pretty long prompt. I don't know how many words that is, but if I had to guess, I'm going to say whatever, like 350, 400, something like that. It's like almost a page long. When I asked ChatGPT to write the prompt initially, it was probably a couple paragraphs. And I said, I want more. I want it to be very specific. So I started this chatbot as, hey, think about niche sites. What are some pros and cons? How much can you earn? Here's some background. Then I came back and I said, I want you to be an AI content strategist. Now it's very specific. And I honestly can't remember if I fed in any of my own written content to train it on my voice, but it didn't really matter because I'm not using it verbatim. Typically, I'm just getting a chunk and then I'm rewriting it as appropriate. It's really good to get started, but it's not perfect, right? Sometimes it takes the wrong approach. Sometimes it's something that you can correct easily with a follow-up prompt. Other times I'm just like, I'll just take out that sentence. It's just that one sentence that's out of place. So after I put in this huge prompt, ChatGPT said that it was a great prompt. I hope my knowledge in the industry will be helpful. And let me know if you have any other questions or if there's anything I could assist you with. Here's an example that I can't even remember if I use this. So I said, I need an email of 300 words that tells this. I found 2 long tail keywords. Oh yeah, I use this. So if you're on my email list, you probably saw this email. I found 2 long tail keywords that were keyword golden ratio terms. I wrote 2,000 word posts, 2 separate 1,000 word posts. They were product reviews, published them on February the 13th. A few days later, they ranked number 2 and 4 in Google. They're getting traffic. It is a product review and it's product A versus product B. I didn't build links. I didn't submit to, and I misspoke. I put auto suggest, but it should be, I didn't submit to the Search Console. I just published them. And the moral of the story is you can still rank quickly in 2023. So this is something that Ariel taught me a little while back. And you could check out our many interviews or Ariel's channel. And this is the thing that I was trying to figure out how to do with like Jasper or other tools, but it was just like not working right. But with ChatGPT, it is working right. I wanted to be able to put in a bullet point list, or maybe I messed up on Jasper, by the way. Maybe it's better now. But basically, I wanted to put in a bullet list of just the bare minimum of what I could talk about or what I wanted to contribute, what needed to be included, just the facts, right? I just wanted to put in the bullet point facts. And then I want 300 words of an email. Some of this was out of my tone, a little bit soft, and I made it more direct. So one great way to do this is get this. You can add follow-up prompts. I'll read you the first part. Dear name, I hope this email finds you well. I wanted to share a recent experience I had with you that I think you'll find interesting. Like this part, like that's waste, right? You don't want to open an email and say, I hope this finds you well. You don't need to do that. You can just get to the fucking point. So in this case, I don't remember exactly what I did, but my hunch is I just started with hi, name. I've been working on, actually, I didn't even do that. I think I probably started with, I decided to try out, I took out this. new approach. So it says, I decided to try out a new approach to content creation to see if I could rank quickly without building links or submitting to Google Search Console. Again, that was my own typo, but I changed that because it wasn't a new approach. It's the same thing I've been talking about for 7 years. It still works. So I said, hey, I decided to try out this boring old approach. And then I proceeded with the rest of this. It's just the facts. It worked pretty well. I probably trimmed some stuff out, but it got me started, and it took much shorter amount of time to do this. And it was 90% usable in this format. So I actually did say, can you make it more casual? And instead of auto suggest, I meant Google Search Console. It's a little more casual. This is actually shorter here. So I still probably trimmed it down, but I used this pretty closely. So as I mentioned, I've trained this chatbot, and it's learning more and more as I'm using it more and more. And I go back to this specific one whenever I need content or information or help for niche site related stuff. As I mentioned, I trained it based on podcast, YouTube, blogging. So it knows that there are different areas. So I can go back and say, give me a YouTube title. Here is the outline. And it'll do a great job. And I'm going to find another couple cool things that I've used. And my friend Matt Giovanisi mentioned this to me. I'm not big on Twitter. I keep thinking I may give it a shot, especially Matt and I were having like a side conversation, not recording. And he was telling me that he's continuing to spend time on Twitter, and it performs really well for him. He's very good there. I can't get motivated to do it, but as an exercise, I said, can you make this a Twitter thread? So it's the same shit that's in the email, but I said, put it in a thread, and it separated it out for me. I haven't done anything with it. I'm still nervous about spending time on Twitter, which is funny because I act like a know-it-all on the YouTube side. Why not do it on Twitter? And that is honestly one of the hangups because, I pop in and I see it, and people, you only got a few characters to work with, but they come out certain of themselves. You have to. So you only got a few characters. But when I think about me doing it, I'm like, I don't know. Like you lose a lot of nuance. And I guess this format's different, right? I can talk for a super long time and never actually take a stand on something. I could just talk in circles all day long. Ariel says, have you tried getting it to respond to Haro with what it knows about you? No, I haven't. Have you checked that out? I've heard a couple people postulating about using ChatGPT to automate Haro responses and stuff like that. And I think that is an interesting use case that would probably do a pretty good job, especially if you can give it information about yourself, make it very specific. It would probably work pretty well. Here's a great one. This is very meta, but you'll see how useful this is. Same chatbot here. And I have this basically it's an outline for someone that I saw that had a course about ChatGPT. So it's essentially all the stuff that I'm teaching and that many people are teaching for free on YouTube, but he's packaged it up into a course, and that'll save people time. There's a framework, there's value to having a course, but he's created it as a course. So I was like, here's content. Come up with YouTube ideas for ChatGPT for bloggers. And I also mentioned, hey, I have a video and it's called ChatGPT Writes a Full Blog Post Start to Finish, and it did really well. So I wanted to provide ChatGPT with topic areas that I knew were useful and interesting because they are covered in a course. And you can go to any course platform or find one for sale and essentially look at what's in there and then feed it in. It's like looking at the table of contents for a book. It shows you how to organize stuff. It shows you what other people deemed important, and it helps you do research. Okay, so I asked for this. Let's scroll down. So there's a handful, I would say 20 items here. Sorry about the zooming in. There's about 20 items there. And I said, can you give me 20 ideas for videos about ChatGPT and how bloggers can use it? So it was like, boom. They're not 100%, but I would say 17 to 19 of them are just fine. And the next step, you can ask for more. So I said, give me as many as you can without repeating. So now I have 30 items on here. Call it 25, right? I'm going to throw out a couple, maybe some I don't care about. The next thing that you would do is ask for an outline for one of the topics, and then a script for one of the topics. You could even tell it how long you want it to be based on like the length of the video. You'd also say, hey, let's include a little demo or something like that. So let me find that prompt. So I said, can you write an outline for how to use ChatGPT for content research and idea generation? I want it to be 5 minutes long and I'll have demos via screen sharing. And it gave me exactly what I asked for and exactly what I needed. 5-minute outline, or an outline for a video that's 5 minutes long. Gives me a little intro, tells me how long it should be, quick overview, couple demos and what I should do, tips and best practices for content research and idea generation, and a conclusion. This is all I need. So I'm using it specifically for things that I'm trying to do. But Ariel asked here, you could use it for responding to Haro responses, right? You could use it for that. If you're not a solo operator and you're on a team, you potentially can now, let's say you were a content manager for an agency, you now potentially can come up with scripts and outlines and content ideas for your client instead of taking, I'm just going to say, an hour or so to come up with that list. It took 30 seconds. It was so incredibly fast. Would I publish that if it wrote out a script? Would I publish that on a blog post? I probably would not. I probably wouldn't do that because it would be a little generic. The only exception is if I went in and edited, amended, and really added my own thoughts into the outline. Part of that could be for each one of the sections, a specific little story from me, an example from me. Maybe I've received an email from someone or I saw a YouTube comment where there's additional information, a specific example that I could insert that would be unique to me and it would be in my own voice. That would be the only exception. If you just got a script or you got a blog post directly from ChatGPT, it's probably not going to be great. The other exception, which I published a video on this, is I grabbed a transcript of me talking on YouTube. I converted that into a blog post and it ranked, I think, number 1 or number 2, depending on which term you searched. Since then, some other competitors have popped up and they have outranked me. It's a sort of a different kind of content that they publish, but mine's 300 words long. Theirs is 3,000 words long with screenshots. Like theirs is better content. They obviously put more time into it, a few $100s into a writer. The other thing that I was asking next, how many words of a script would the 5-minute outline be? And they said, roughly 600 to 700, but it depends on the pacing and the tone. You can do a lot. And I just asked for another outline based on another one of the topics. And I will most likely go through. I have a list, like I said, of 30 videos, and there's a strong chance I'm going to do those videos. I mean, it's right there. They're great topics. They're very specific. They're somewhat keyword driven, which is another bonus, but it's exactly the topic area that I want to investigate. I didn't do any keyword research specifically. I would just ask for topics in that area, ChatGPT for bloggers. If you extend this out, right, I could do the same thing for different user types. So it's the same skills that we have used for keyword research over and over again. ChatGPT for real estate agents, ChatGPT for SEOs, that might be a little more competitive, ChatGPT for students, ChatGPT for writers. And then I can ask for 20 ideas for each one of those. You could just fill in like different professions. ChatGPT for freelancers, ChatGPT for graphic designers, just making them up off the top of my head. You could ask ChatGPT for suggestions on different people that could find the tool interesting, usable. It's really powerful. The other one that I want to show you, I'm going to jump back up to the top here. So sorry for the quick scrolling. We'll just do a quick summary here. So you could brainstorm names. You can give a summary. So let's say you have a blog post, or actually this is a better one here. So a book. ChatGPT is familiar with many books out there, plus the summaries on said books. So you could say, give me a summary of Atomic Habits, which is misspelled, in 300 words, or you can ask for 500 words or whatever. So that's good. Give me pros and cons. Find gaps or problems in my argument or position. This is very powerful for writing or creating content because you can fill in the gaps. So when someone reads it, they don't have like you're one step ahead of them. You can answer their opposition. Powerful for sales pages as well. Write a job posting. I talked about teaching ChatGPT your style, so that's pretty cool. We spent a lot of time just now on the outline and researching. So you can get basically a very strong starting point for almost anything you want to do. So I was like about making yogurt at home for a blog post, about making yogurt at home for a YouTube video. So different kinds of content. Okay, so here's another one. So the reverse engineering. So you could use ChatGPT and hone in on what you want in a response. This could be like after you've trained it, you've gone back and forth. Maybe you've used the same chatbot over and over again a couple times. And here's an example. I took out the ChatGPT responses. So I said, I have a marketing channel. I do keyword research about SEO. I need a title. Can you write a prompt? Finally, once you get the response that you want, can you write a prompt that I could use again? Consider all the details mentioned above. So I gave it initially what looks to be four prompts, and it worked out after some refinement. Then you could just say, give me a prompt that I could use again and again. Create a compelling title for YouTube on a specific topic, and then I give some guidelines, and then you could just say, here's the topic, and then that's it. You could put in more information, and I have done that, where you provide it with a little more info on what's in there. So you could put the topic and it's just a bare bones title, and then it'll give you a better one. But you could also give it like the description of the video. Maybe you have an outline, like the outline that it created for us a minute ago, and then it'll take all of that into consideration. I also promised that I would show you another one of the prompts that I'm using on a frequent basis. This one was created with the prompt generator. This is a two-parter here, and this perhaps is bringing it all together. I've used the prompt generator prompt, what I'm calling the most powerful prompt, and I've given it a couple of examples. I've used it a couple times. I will ask for revisions. Hey, add a little bit more. It is written so that you can provide just the title and it'll do a pretty good job. So here's the one that I gave it initially. The title is Financial Independence Retire Early, Expert with a Podcast, YouTube channel, and a blog. I wanted to provide additional details, so I said more details. And open quote, you are post-financial independence, and you do not have to work, but you still have fun with your creative projects with a podcast, YouTube channel, and blog. So that I was trying to describe Mile High 5, which is my other show. So the prompt it gave me was fairly long. I'm not going to read the whole thing. So I want you to act as an AI content strategist for a financial independence retire early FIRE expert with a podcast, YouTube channel, and blog. Your task is to provide guidance and support on the types of content that will be most effective and engaging for the FIRE community. Draw on your knowledge of the movement as part of the strategy. Focus on actionable advice, tips, and strategies. Additionally, draw on your knowledge as a post-FIRE expert to provide insights that are specific to the people after achieving financial independence. By providing personalized and data-driven advice on the content strategy, you will help the FIRE expert create content that is engaging, informative. I said that was great, but add a note to have humor, to use wordplay and puns, and make the content lighter and fun. So it added, I think, a paragraph or two about making it a little bit lighter. This is the full prompt that it gave me. It was pretty damn good out of the gates, but I did want to add that little bit of humor. What I did is I went to a new chat, and the initial chat is the one that we just saw, is the revised with the wordplay, the humor, and that stuff. So it does give you a recommendation. It says develop a content strategy. They tell you some shit to cover: personal finance, investing, frugal, lifestyle, post-FIRE. They give us some ideas, but essentially like it is trained to do Mile High Fi assistance. So I went through and I use it for various stuff. A lot of times it is like YouTube titles and such. Let's see what's the last thing I put in here. Okay, so if you listen to the show, we just published one. My friend, he has his favorite band, and they were on Kickstarter. I think it's called the Webb Brothers. They were on Kickstarter, and he's a pretty frugal dude. He has been for many years, but he's starting to splurge, like in the last 2 months. And he saw that he could get a private concert for $10,000. So he paid $10,000 to get a private concert. It's probably going to be in August or September, something like that. But we had an okay title. It was all right. But I did what I just mentioned a couple of times. So I was like, here are the show notes for the next podcast. We talk about Carl getting a semi-spontaneous $10,000 purchase. Here's the things that we cover. And then we got 10 options. I don't think I used any of these verbatim, but I also knew that memory dividends were part of the discussion and impactful for me. So I said, hey, include something with memory dividends. So all 10 of these talk about memories or memory dividends. So I combined 2 of them somehow. So we titled it this: Power of Memory Dividends, the $10,000 purchase you won't believe. Little clickbaity. I wouldn't normally do that, but you got to make these a little interesting, especially on the YouTube side. So I asked ChatGPT, even though I was going to use that one anyway. I was like, what do you think of this one? And it massaged my ego, its own ego. It came up with it. I just picked the ones I wanted to use. So that is how you can use this start to finish. You have the prompt generator, so you can create a chatbot to do a specific thing. I have some random ones set up over here, but I have been using like 2 or 3 over and over again, and it's learning more. It's powerful to use the same ones over and over again. It's trained. I should probably train it on my style a little bit more. The other thing is like we have transcripts from Descript. So I could just pull down a transcript and say, here's our voice of the podcast. This is the tone that we should have. Now, of course, you could only put in a handful of words at a time, say 2,000, 2,500, maybe even up to 3,000 words. But still, you can train it specifically, and you could feed it in a couple pieces there. Okay, I think that covers it for today. We're going to wrap it up